justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. First item on the agenda this morning, Mike Kueny, our county engineer, with some road updates. Go ahead, Mike.
Not used to being here on a Tuesday, but since last meeting, bridge inspection reports have been submitted to the county from Chuck Ritson, our consultant, and the annual report was therefore submitted for DOT review there shortly thereafter. Bridge 5, pre-pour meeting for the deck is today. It'll be at 10 o'clock. The deck rebar is currently being tied, and pouring the bridge deck could be as early as this week. Good. Yeah, I don't want to hurry them along, but we don't want to hurry a bridge, if you will. I bought a Chevy Blazer for county service. I was having issues with vehicle 667, and I've been encouraged to be getting a different vehicle, so that's what I did this week. Vehicle 667 is being repaired and will be placed in service for the crew. And then one of the crew's trucks is going to be probably sold. So, engineer's office is coordinating with IT and vendor to install the latest GPS technology in county vehicles. 2 cameras will be placed on selected vehicles to test capabilities. That will be my Blazer, and it will be one other blade to see. Thinking it might be beneficial for future FEMA operations, and kind of work in that direction. Bridge 208E, Army Corps of Engineers is now enforcing stream bed loss regulation. Mitigation has been priced. I will probably be moving forward with the mitigation that will be going on this week. Frankville Roads.
What is mitigation?
I'm kind of new to this, but so basically we have an area of stream bed that we are taking away, and so someone has set aside stream bed and created a stream bed that they have to maintain, and then for people who are for entities who have to violate the stream bed, we can buy a mitigation credit, if you will. The price that you will have to pay, we have one vendor, is $130 per credit for this bridge 208E. It's 224 credits. So we're looking at roughly $30,000 extra cost on the bridge. So
Similar process as when we do a wetland.
Yeah.
We disturb a wetland. We have done where we constructed our own and maintained it, but there are also banks that sell those as well.
Yeah, it's a process for maintaining those wetlands, because I have a property that I'm looking at creating a wetland. Just anyway, I don't want to get into the weeds on that one, but or the cattails, if you will. But yeah, it's a process. So this will help us get our project let in May, or let in December, so that we can start work in May. It's cool. Frankville Road, all the culverts are complete. The Frankville Fire Department was able to have its fundraiser. I heard it was an active fundraiser there. And then the target finish date is the end of this week. Talked to superintendent and assistants, and that was the target finish date as of Friday of last week. Maybe it could get pushed off to the following week. W14 ditch projects are finished. Soil borrow operations with landowner are finished. Contractor mobilization will be today. Cold in place recycling operation will begin Wednesday in Port Atkinson. Staff has sent a mail letter notification of construction events to the residents on W14, and an email list has been developed from this mailing. press, and viewers are welcome to request being on this list by emailing engineer@co.winneshiek.ia.us. Bridge 313 is now open. Backfill has been placed. Bridge 317A west abutment piles have been driven, and caps are poured on both abutments. Change orders have occurred on both projects. If you're interested on that, I can have a conversation one-on-one. Speed study for Middle Hesper is ongoing. Same thing as last week. Subdivision is the same thing as last week. IT, same thing as last week. The new Ridge Odyssey project is placed. Striping operation will be later after aggregate is worked into the emulsion. As far as I can tell, the road is working as planned on that, but to your point, we will be looking at that, possibly moving that off before striping. Equipment malfunction with the diesel pump and Freeport has been fixed. We are working with DNR to resolve the situation completely. We have hired a remediation consultant to help us work with the DNR. Upcoming union negotiations are being prepared for, just like last week. Denco will be used to augment our pavement maintenance. Due to favorable pricing, an additional stretch of W46 was added to the planned work. Denco will be here next week. FEMA event documentation has been submitted to FEMA's grants portal and to EM grants for Iowa Homeland Security. For category C documentation, we submitted $109,000. Thanks to the crew and staff for their hard work in getting the documentation in order. Category A is still not finalized, and should be working on that, possibly clearing up some of the debris in the channels next week. And then this week is the start of the crews being on 5 8-hour days. This week is only 4, but
What stretch of W46 was?
W46 from Castalia to where it ties in to the
Bridge 5?
we'll go past that to where it starts the concrete road.
Oh, so it's Centennial.
To Centennial Road there, yes, thank you.
Okay, so that whole stretch.
Yeah, so we're gonna get that covered, and then hopefully that'll extend the life of that pavement. That's pretty rough pavement. So
Not the worst, but
it's
I'm getting it as bad.
What do they do on, in the spray patch or?
no, it's not quite a spray patch. It's a they fill the cracks in with I don't know if it's an emulsion, but it's a specialty product that so it doesn't have the rocks like a spray patch would. It'll be a smoother ride, but it doesn't have the rocks, kind of like the rocks for yeah. So that's what they're doing on that.
So on W14, they're starting both the concrete work there by 24 plus the regrind, cold in place.
Say that again.
Well, originally at the pre-con meeting, they were talking about starting the concrete work right there at W14 at 24.
Yeah, I'll have to probably
I think they may have done they were going to start the 9th and then moved it back a week, and I don't know.
that would be a question for my assistant, but just because I don't have those conversations with the contractor directly, but I think that what you're saying sounds familiar. So
right, tomorrow night's city council meeting for it, so
sure.
I'll check with
And I was planning on headed out to the site because they're going to be out there to just have conversations like that anyways. So they're mobilized today. So I can't remember exactly what they intended to do with that intersection there.
We have a lot of projects going on in the next.
It's you'll see some overtime in our budget in the last couple of weeks. So it's been a busy couple of weeks.
how large was that farmer's pond?
Oh, it's nice.
bigger
It's a nice
than
pond for him. But it was very generous offer because that was, I mean, we essentially got it for just replacing his driveway, some rock. So can't think about really a better price. So
Win-win for both sides.
yes, so but that'll be really nice for him. So I'm glad we could make that happen.
You gonna be in your office, you gonna be there after the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I got calls on it then. I think it's that new bridge on 210th. There was a little washout along the guardrail. Guy snapped me a picture. And he said it was 210th and dry run, but no. And
Okay.
he lives just where they put that new one on 210th.
So 313 there.
Yeah. And then there's one on 245th going south of me, just past the dry run road on that bridge. There's one right where the bridge and the guardrail started to eat back a couple feet onto the road.
Yeah. I haven't heard a whole lot from the crew and my superintendents, but that rain, especially in the north of the county on Thursday night, that was after all.
This year's south, this year's just out, this year's pretty
Sure, but that was a big rain throughout the county.
Yeah.
And I just driving the roads on Friday a little bit, there's plenty of damage.
Oh, another one was a call there. Must be have a tractor cage or something for the steam engine days. They got another guy called on the Middle Hesper Road was washed pretty bad. You know, they did something like that before.
Yeah, I know the crew,
Yeah.
all the
They'll
blade
probably
operators,
out.
all the blade operators are gonna probably be working the blade this week, so. Cause I know that it's pretty rough,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, they love the rain up there.
but it was even, I was out east and it was bad enough there, so it was 1.5 based off of a call that I took, so. And it was bad enough out there.
But people putting in the fiber on those gravel roads.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for evening those out after they plowed that in?
They should be putting it back to grade. Now what tending to happen is they'll kind of do their first job, and then after they're completely done with that road, they'll
Supposed to be back the way it was.
back the way it was the best they can. Obviously the fines have all come up, so it makes, anytime you get rain, it's a real mess. But
Just from my experience where I lived, they did it and it looked really nice. I mean, the road looked better than before.
you're the first person that's told me.
When they left, I'm just saying that was though 2 months ago. Now that we've had some rain and settling, now we've got a trough where, because that's settled into that.
They're supposed to
area
come
again.
back and fix that too, aren't they? Long after.
They're not that far off is not my understanding.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought they had a.
Yeah, when they first did it, it looked beautiful, but you know, the spot where you have a recent
yeah, I mean,
berry versus the rest of the existing road, that's sunk in and now they've got a trough along the edge.
I talked to Eric with West Union. I'm forgetting his last name, but he said, you know, bringing the fines up, and this is a problem. And you know, most of these tables are in there because of a grant. And I said, does the grant cover repairing things like that? And he said, no, that's wholly on us. And I'm like, we have to. That's the discussion piece, because that's a lot of road fixing that they hadn't priced in. And maybe that conversation happens that, you know, we talk to miners, we talk to West Union, we talk to all of these local guys and say, but the problem that they're running into is there's just no place in the ditches to put these cables anymore because the ditch is already used up. So
Along some of the busier roads, they bored it, so then you don't have nearly as much trouble, but on the smaller, less used roads, they just trenched it, and then
yep.
the boring ones aren't as bad, you just get a spot every.
You get the holes.
Yeah.
Big holes. You get the big holes, yes. So
And these permits that, for the ones that happened this summer were issued before Michael started, and so.
Correct. Well, I think some of the stuff I permitted, early in March, so.
But, you know, it's you're a year, sometimes they're a year behind or so, but.
Yeah.
So you can keep that in mind for new permits. In the
Yeah,
future.
I think I am gonna have that conversation with the contractors, because that's that's a huge expense to them. They're getting, and like Ben said, that, you know, they get their operator, and they think that they're fine, but as soon as a couple of big rains hit, like we had.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to just blow up the contractor for people who live on, so it's kind of how do you weigh this? But the conversation might be that you should be pricing, going forward, we might be pricing in rock on that road.
Yeah.
But we've never established that as precedent. We've never done that before, so I'm cautious about just throwing in something like that for contractors who are.
So for folks that have like dust control, they plow right down in half the road that's disturbed. Are they supposed to put dust control down again, or?
That is you put your dust control down on your own risk is kind of how I understand it, and that's kind of what's in our permit. But again, it's not something that I feel for the person who's, putting dust control, on, and then they get, 10 days of dust control, and all of a sudden, somebody's coming through. The nice thing about that is that happens one time, right? The cable's not going to be, you're not going to be putting cable this year, the next year, the year after. It's a one-time thing. So a little,
But except for digging where they have to and roll across and stuff, the trench mark itself is pretty minimal, I mean, in all reality, so it's
A lot
not.
of the roads you wouldn't drive there unless you're meeting a
Yeah.
wider vehicle, then you have to move way over.
Well, but if you have to crest a hill, it's just, you want to have that separation.
It's not ideal.
There's nothing good about, I call it, there's nothing easy about progress, if you will.
We may want to put that on the upcoming sixth county meeting, just to see the whole issue of the permitting again. I think we talked about it once, but maybe it's time to talk about it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a conversation that we have with our contractors, and I mean, especially after the lot, it wasn't last week, it was the week before. I was getting hit with a couple of discussions on that.
And 6th County is 2 weeks from this Thursday.
19th.
So
That might be a good question. So anyone have anything else?
I had asked about a tour we used to do with Lee. Would you guys be interested in that? Yeah, or with projects?
the different projects going on, the stuff that we completed, and the progress on where we're at with the current ones.
You opposed to it?
We good? Okay, I'm later in the week. It's
It has to be scheduled as a meeting, so traditionally, they've done it Monday right after the regular board meeting.
okay, so that would be next Monday. Let me check my schedule on next Monday. Next Monday, I can try to make that.
Or we could go 2 weeks out if that works for you.
I think you'll probably want to go sooner to see the pond. and
Next
everything
Monday
else,
works.
so.
Better for me because I have to turn this room into a polling site after the meeting, so, because we have the school election next Tuesday, so if you're out of here earlier, that's great, so I can coordinate.
Yeah, definitely. I can
Got
try
it on
to fit that in for sure.
a
on
small
Monday.
agenda for next week, if you're
Well,
trying to kick it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, there you go. Although we haven't had very big agendas
No.
lately. So. I'll coordinate with Michael what time we think we're targeting for the end of the meeting next week. and
Sure.
See if we can get that arranged.
And is that considered a closed meeting then, or? just-
No, it's an open meeting.
If anybody,
So if anyone wants to go, they would just meet you, like you'd say, we're leaving here and we're gonna meet at this place, and they can go there.
Okay,
And then you would talk to the board about what's happening there, that kind of thing. I don't think you traditionally had a lot of public trying to tour with you.
Yeah,
But
okay,
it is still a meeting.
okay,
Thank you.
yes.
Thanks.
All right. We have a few miscellaneous items. First of which we had on was a recommendation letter on the full board hearing matrix. And we had some information brought to us this weekend that they no longer need a new matrix, master matrix. So that item is off the agenda.
I had a question on that though, because in previous notes from concerned community members that we all received, including Steve Bases, do we have proof of the construction permit they are using for this application? That's going to be discussed tonight in the Board of Adjustment.
I know that's not our realm there.
Yeah, so what you were looking at with master matrix,
Yeah.
which Doug alluded to when he came in here the first day. It's like, I don't know why we have to do another master matrix when their numbers haven't changed. Well, they had put numbers in the wrong blank, which triggered the process. So when they got that corrected, they no longer need a master matrix. But they may, I don't know the procedures at DNR, they probably still need a permit from them for
The
construction
letter we
of the,
received was from the ProAg engineer, not from the DNR.
right. But, so they may be still working with DNR for a permit or a application for a construction permit. But that doesn't affect, no longer needs a master matrix review. So that's what you were.
That's all this year is just a master matrix, and they do not need to update it, so we do not need to take action on it.
So do all of the letters of concern that people submitted to Doug?
They still go to the DNR, yeah. And I think they were due this Friday. So they're still probably working on that process to get the permit through DNR for the construction permit.
Is that normal for you to receive it from the engineer on the job, from the client themselves? A request not to talk about it at the Board of Supervisors?
Wasn't a request to not talk about it. It was a withdrawal of their application that they made earlier because they filled it out wrong.
I think it was pretty well explained.
Yeah.
Very well.
So tonight, if there's a public hearing at the Board of Adjustment for their application for construction permit for the biodigester.
Yes.
But in the application, I still haven't seen, I guess I can ask the Board of Adjustment as a citizen tonight. I haven't seen the correction on which buildings they have construction permits for.
I think that was also explained.
That was
in that
also
email.
explained in the email we got. It explains right in there.
Which ones were confined, which ones were
Yeah.
not confined,
Yeah.
which animals were in each building.
Yeah. They don't need a construction permit for an open feedlot.
Yeah, I'm
The
still.
confinement building is
I'll
all
go
they
to
got.
Board of Adjustment tonight and
Yeah.
see what the answers are to some of these questions.
All right, move on to the next item. The Housing Trust Fund, on that pledge letter.
And so
We had given $7,500.
no, we traditionally, or for the last several years before this year, you were giving 5,000 a year.
Yeah.
This year, they requested an increase and you've actually budgeted 10,000 in the current fiscal year. And what they were asking is that for a 3-year pledge of 12,500. Well, to change this year's, you would have to do a budget amendment. So that's up to you, kind of a separate process. But if you want to pledge 12,500 or some other amount for the next 2 years in their 3-year cycle, that's what their letter is asking. I have basically a form letter you've used in the past. I didn't put an amount in there, and it lists the next 2 years, not the current year, because that one you've already put in 10.
I'd be comfortable with leaving the current year at 10 and then pledging the next 2 years at 12,500. Because the return on our investment on this, as they told you guys in the meeting, it's huge.
They do a very good work.
I'm suggest we do the 10,000 that was scheduled for this year and then up it to 12,500 for the next two, for that total three-year commitment.
I'm on board with that.
I mean,
So was that a motion then, Shirley?
Yeah, I move to
yeah, I'll second
keep it
that.
at 10, do 12,500 for the next 2 years after that, for a total three-year commitment.
Also second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to the Housing Trust Fund pledge at the amounts of 10,000 this year, 12,500 next 2 years after that. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
So this letter only outlines the next 2 years. I'll work with them to find out if they need a letter or have anything. Just knowing that you put 10 in the current year is enough, or they also need a letter to put their application on.
I think they need a letter so that they can use that for leverage for other.
Right, so, but I don't know if we did one or what I can't remember the status for the current year, but this is for the next 2 years at 12,500.
Okay, next thing in miscellaneous, appeal settlement agreement.
On this one, Annie clarified, and it is in there, we read through the agreement, that the agreement goes with any consecutive or any subsequent purchaser of that land. But I would like to go back to the discussion of putting in a gate with a padlock rather than an automatic gate that can be changed via phone or whatever, however we have it set up. I'd like to see us ask for a regular gate there with padlock.
You'd like,
Keys for each.
you'd like it to go back to
The original.
the negotiation between the attorneys, because you aren't asking, you'll have Andy,
Yeah.
I'd like
our
Andy.
attorney with ICAP, to negotiate that with them, renegotiate that.
I think we are looking at future problems if it's a coded entry that can be changed from a phone. Some can be. I think it's easier for the landowners to have a key, a manual.
That's probably true, but that wasn't what you discussed
So I'm
in our,
asking, would we all like to have?
in your
Andy?
closed sessions and coming to this point, so.
How about the possibility of that front stretch of that road over class B?
Leave it at C.
Or you put C beyond the driveway to the field residence. That first stretch would be B, which you would not need a gate in that first stretch, and then from there on it goes to C.
And that would have to be, go back to negotiations too, but yeah.
Well, I know,
Yeah. So you're saying put the gate back down by the woods?
yes,
I think one problem might be the laptop that was put in there when you widen. I measure.
yeah,
I'm
I
thinking
don't
it
know
might not meet
that either. I mean, if we went to
code, if we did that.
designated to class B, there would have to be a stipulation in there probably. That there's no snow removal on that section of that road.
We just one of them roads that. just-
Several of those.
I mean, and that way the gate would be beyond the highway to the residence. And then you wouldn't be any worry about the gate. If you want
I'm
to proceed.
simply worried about, I don't care about what details it is. I'm simply worried about the procedure that you negotiated in good faith and came to an agreement, and now you're
Yeah.
changing it. I mean, you gave your request to Andy, and Andy worked through their attorney or through the ICAP attorney and their attorney, and you came to an agreement, so now it's time to sign it. Now you decided you don't like what you agreed to, and that's what I'm worried about.
You have a very good point.
Can we move this to Monday so we can check with Andy and
I'm sure you can, and I'm sure you could go back to negotiations if you want. I'm just know that they were trying to get it finished. This was the whole goal.
I'd like to have Andy's input between now and next Monday. I don't want to create a long-term problem for everybody involved.
And which part of Andy's input, how complicated it is to go back to negotiating the settlement? Is that what you want to know?
That's what I want to know.
Because I don't think you're going to ask him about details because he'll have to take that back to the table. Yeah.
Anyone else's input?
Coded.
Coded gate is a problem. Too bad if there's a gate option with a key to operate the gate. Key override or
Yeah, if there was a way to, yeah.
And maybe even if you sign this agreement with Peel, and if he sells the land, it may be that the new owner will be happy to negotiate something different with you later, but
Or yeah, if there's some way to unlock that or open that with a key access to the electric gates everybody's got, so you can't change nothing, you have to get out and open it. Or even if you do have a code, that would be
it can be code or key.
code or key, yeah.
I think the
But the
gate's
key
been
would
delivered
override
already.
anything. Yeah,
So I would like.
the
to
automatic
get
gate
Andy's
is just,
input.
yeah, it's a camera into a main. Down the road. Right.
So am I hearing that we want to push this off till next week and talk to Andy on the matter? Or
If that's what I would like to.
that would be wisdom.
Yeah,
There may, if there's a simple
simple
issue,
solution.
that would be nice to know if it exists.
It's unfortunate that it's come this far with issues.
I think we're all in agreement with that.
Not having it able to at the same time probably was a problem. So, I think.
does someone here want to
I
let
think
Andy know? Because
Okay,
I've already, anyway.
I think
contact Andy.
it's unfortunate for everybody, and I think the gates have been purchased and maybe installed, so.
Yeah,
That's,
it's sitting out there.
that's a problem
Yeah.
already because
Because I had a call yesterday on it.
the train left the station on that deal,
Yeah.
but, you know,
We might be able
Let's see.
to backfill.
But we might be able to find out if we can do an extra access point with a key.
Yeah.
And that may be an add-on, it may be possible.
Okay,
If that's the case, rather than renegotiate it, if that would be something that we should shoulder as our expense.
you're gonna get hold of Andy?
I am.
Okay, well, let's put it on next week's agenda then.
because it could, this, I think, long-term. The situation had occurred and then the county has to create a whole new situation to correct it. Can be a problem for you in the future, so I hope.
This has been ongoing for quite a while, so one more week and we're just gonna throw a wrench in it. All right, next item, affidavit of possession, quick claim deed. Winneshiek County WCHPC lease for Smith.
I think technically the quitclaim deed and the affidavit of possession were, you can sign based on the action taken last week for the settlement or for the resolution. So those just need to be signed. The lease hasn't been acted on, so it's not for public health, it's for
Oh, that's,
When the,
Historic Preservation Commission. So the lease would begin today and put it in the end of June 30th of 2027. The 2027 is there, but to keep it on the fiscal year, it's a no cost cash for us, but we're going to leave the internet connection to the building. And so they're going to trade us internet access for letting Historic Preservation Commission stay in the building.
I go to approve the lease.
second,
we have a motion and a second to approve the lease for the Smith building. Is there any further discussion? None. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Carries unanimously. Which line here, Ben? This one?
Yes. This is the lease.
Next up, it looks like there's some tax abatements.
Yep. So, and these are both for cities, so in cities buy property mid-year, the taxes are already scheduled to be paid by the previous owner, and the city can ask for the taxes to be abated. So one is a parcel in Kelmer, $16, so it's not a very valuable parcel, but it's a parcel in Kelmer, so Kelmer's asking for that one to be abated. And the other one is 4 parcels for the city of Decorah, some land that they purchased.
How much is that for?
That one is quite a bit more. It is 4, 8, 9, almost $1,000. And the crux of it all is that you can't make the city pay. So either it sits there as a delinquent parcel and then Brenda has to deal with it indefinitely, or you just abate it so we can clean it up. And
Parcels, or sorry.
I don't know, I didn't look at the map.
I motion to approve the abatement for the Calmer and Decorah.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the tax abatements for the city of Kelmer and the city of Decorah. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Consent agenda.
I have the minutes and a liquor license for Farmers Wind Co-op at Country Express.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Same sign. Here's unanimous. Committee reports.
Health court tomorrow at 3:30. Yeah.
Hopefully I'll have a little more knowledge for that meeting. Still haven't heard anything back from DHS. I sent another email this weekend, so my board was getting a little concerned about no response, so we'll see if we get any on that.
There are hazard mitigation meetings happening throughout the county. Upper Spoilerland Regional Planning is hosting those, and if you want to attend one of the meetings in the various cities in our county, let me know, because I did post on my Facebook page the schedule of those meetings.
Most of them during the day.
Yeah, they are. There's one in public library in Decorah at noon on Friday the 13th in the public library meeting room. And then there's one in Fort Atkinson and
Calmer,
Calmer.
Fort City and Stillville all in the library. It's in the same time frame, following week, next week.
You don't have anything else?
Board of Adjustment tonight at 7 for those of you who are interested here.
And I believe you've sent this out to us.
I sent both by email because the meeting was actually yesterday, so I figured
Well-
if you waited.
Was confused as why we didn't, the second.
Yeah, but isn't that what it says?
It said the second.
Yeah.
On Labor Day. It's that urban renewal. And sent them out to us.
I sent them out electronically, because if you waited till the day and found out the meeting was yesterday, that wouldn't have helped you very much, so that's why.
The city's
I
also,
emailed them out.
the city's also gonna be holding a public hearing on the urban renewal plans on September 16th. Doesn't give a time, but
5:45.
oh, yes, it does.
Yeah.
Read right over the top of it.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Anybody want these hard copies of this?
No, I'm trying to find it today.
Yeah, right. No,
You might even have been earlier too.
Must be both.
Calendar got all messed up yesterday.
More like
Oh, I see it here.
Tuesday.
It was on Wednesday.
Yeah, those.
And when you sent us these.
Oh, I know.
Sure.
Good question. Is it normal not to open the meeting for public comments on items not on the agenda? There was no request for public comments.
We don't.
Never have.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
Counties do have a public comment section on their agenda. We just never chosen to do that yet.
On the advice of our county attorney.
The advice of county attorney, everybody keep quiet.
The theory behind that is that if you have a public comment section, with something that isn't on the agenda,
But here we had a case where there was an item on the agenda
Yeah,
was
that would be-
moved the morning of the meeting.
yeah.
And people came here to.
That's very uncommon.
I understand that.
Yeah, if the items aren't on the agenda, then I'll bring a public comments session, let one side.
But the other side was, the item was on the agenda.
This hardly ever happens.
I can't remember. As long as I've been.
No, the point I wanted to raise wasn't really about the, after the item was removed from the agenda, that's fine. I still wanted to raise the point that you have both of those large dairies are withdrawing water without permit. They don't have a permit. They use these. And if they have more than 500 cows in a dairy operation, they probably are taking more than they are allowed without a permit.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So I wanted to raise that point because that's water that's not available for your citizens and your industries that are abiding by the rules.
Well, I think so.
I just thought that somebody in the county should look into that.
You know, that, I hate pushing it off on the DNR all the time, but that's,
But somebody has to raise that point with the DNR, is my point. Someone needs, at the county, I feel.
Didn't see.
Allowed to complain with DNR and best enforcement actions.
and I just welcome to do that.
Well, I'm welcome to do it, but my point is, why wouldn't someone as city or county government, when they're made aware of that, why wouldn't they feel an obligation to take a report, to request enforcement? And that's what the point I want to make, but
And I guess, I don't know if they do have a permit or not.
they do not have a permit. You can check their database or you can call up Mike Anderson at DNR, and he will tell you they do not have a permit. Neither K4 or Bohr has a permit for water withdrawal.
Yep.
I've made that point, and I even, in my comments, presented an email from Mike Anderson, who's the head of that group, confirming that they don't have a permit and do not have an application for a permit.
And that's in an email. to all of us.
But anyway, that was the point I wanted to raise. So the county now, unfortunately does not officially even know because I couldn't get my comment on the grid, but that's all right.
Oh, I think it's still on.
It's in my public comments, my written comments, yes, so, but
And is that something we can add to the agenda for Monday?
What's that?
Is that something we can add to the agenda for Monday to have a conversation about what is our duty as supervisors and governing body of our county? No. Through.
The answer is yes, we can add that. That's up to you. Do you want that added?
Let me think about it.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Last week he called me shortly after, sent an email asking for a public comment session. He said, we are not having those things too.
Who said that?
Yeah. So then it became a moot point because he got
Because then
withdrawn.
he could have gotten it on public record.
Yeah.
And then we could act as a board to say, this is our duty as supervisors to protect our county. And to hold people accountable.
I have a question. What happens at those hazard mitigation meetings